Now finally, the last topic of optics, which is optional, and students will find it very interesting also, because this is a non-conventional method for solving problems on optics. We call this as Convergence Method. Now this method is not going to use mirror equation, lens maker's formula and equation for refraction at curved surface. We can avoid all these equations and we can still solve optical problem using this alternative approach. I am calling it Convergence Method. I tell you student, if you can master this method, which is not difficult, the approach is very simple and it is not cumbersome compared to the traditional working. It's really fun and this method is really very fast. Sometimes when we solve problem using lens equation, mirror equation, the usual considerations and the usual definition, we call it lazy method. And this method as compared to the traditional method is very, very fast. Almost you are writing answer instantly. Now this method we are calling it Convergence Method. It's optional. If you find it interesting, you can go ahead in detail. I am just describing for fun sake and will be applying to some of the problems. Now let's understand the very first point in this method is the definition of convergence. In every situation we are going to talk about two types of convergence. One we call it initial convergence and the other we call it final convergence. Initial convergence is related with object and final convergence is related with image. Now we define initial convergence as a refractive index of the medium in which object is present divided by object distance. Similarly, we define the final convergence as refractive index of the medium in which image is present divided by image distance. So these are the two convergence. I repeat it again. So we talk about initial convergence, which is related to object, and then we have final convergence, which is related to image. Initial convergence is the refractive index of medium in which object is present divided by the distance of object, whereas the final convergence is refractive index of the medium in which image is present divided by image distance. That is the first point we have to remember, the definition of initial convergence and final convergence. Now here is one sign convention that we have to follow, that converging light has positive convergence and diverging light has negative convergence. That means when incident rays are converging, will have initial convergence positive. When incident rays are diverging, initial convergence will be negative. Same thing we can say about final rays, which may be coming out as a result of refraction or reflection.